Hello, somebody. It's Joel with Godwin Realty, and you're now tuned in to Inside the Trenches on ESPN New Orleans.
And just like that, we're back. It's Inside the Trenches. It's your host, Marlon Favorite, and like we do each week, I should say, I have my homie Mario Jerez. Y'all make sure y'all follow him on X, Mario_E_Jerez, and you can check out Pels Kitchen, and you can, Mario get you up on the Saints radio. He gets you going with the Pels as well. Man, Mario, thanks for coming back on the show, brother.
Hey, what's good, Big Fave? Hope you're having a great Tuesday, my friend.
Turned up on a Tuesday, having myself a good time, man. I hope you're doing likewise. Man, you usually come on and we'll have a conversation about the Pels and, and then match up with Denver or the Lakers, but no Pels. So since we don't have the Pelicans to talk about, what NBA team from the West and then what NBA team from the East that you think are going to be in the finals?
Man, even going into yesterday with Minnesota winning the first game, I still like Denver. I'm not going to lie. I picked Denver to win and cover last night with Gobert being questionable going in. But last night was a shot to me, man. They punched Denver in the mouth. Like, I have not seen them get punched in the mouth when Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic are both healthy. So, to me, they're the team to beat in the West right now. I think Denver maybe takes one in Minnesota, but the Timberwolves win this series going away. And looking forward, I think the Celtics definitely still the class in the East. I think the Cavs will give them a good series, but I still think they'll kind of somewhat cruise to the NBA Finals. And the Timberwolves, being a younger team, this being Minnesota's first playoff series victory with Anthony Edwards, I think the Celtics would be a heavy favorite in the finals right now. But if I had to give you a pick right now, I'd say it'd be Boston, Minnesota in the NBA Finals with the Celtics winning it because the Timberwolves just look awesome right now.
They do, but you say the Celtics are winning. What makes you say that? Is it that Jason Tatum is just due for a championship?
Yeah, honestly, man, it's just kind of the veteran presence on the Celtics. They already exterminated the boogeyman that was the Heat, right, in the first round, although you do it without Jimmy Butler. But they crossed that hurdle. They have a little bit of a new-look team now with Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, who they're waiting to get back up from injury. But I think just the experience, including both of those guys, gives them a leg up in a series against Minnesota. To me, it would be kind of similar to when the Heat played Oklahoma City in the finals back in the day, but you still had a really young Russell Westbrook, a really young Kevin Durant, James Harden. I think it'd be a similar situation where maybe you haven't seen the last Minnesota in the finals, but the Celtics are just more ready to win a championship right now. It's been kind of a long time coming for those guys.
Now, tonight, the Thunder take on the Mavericks. I look at that matchup. You have a young, scrappy team in the Thunder. SGA had really made an argument this year to be in that MVP conversation and continue to. And then, Kyrie and Luka is just, brother, like the amount of dribbling that Luka is doing and the way he's shooting, and then Kyrie just still being one of the better ball handlers in our game. How does that series go?
Man, this is going to be such a good series, man, because I think it's kind of contrasting styles when you look at the Thunder and the Mavericks. It's kind of like shock versus awe. Like the Thunder are a little bit more technically sound, although they're younger. They play better defense. But then the star power of Luka and Kyrie, man, might be enough to take the series. And I know Kyrie has in the past has said outlandish things, and the start of his career in Dallas wasn't very good with them missing the playoffs last year. But I think people are starting to remember just how good Kyrie Irving is when he's on. And he is on right now. And that would not be a series that I want to bet on because I think it's going to be really entertaining. But I think just the contrasting styles of the young, up-and-coming, and technical soundness of the Thunder versus the star power, the ooh and ah of Dallas, would make for a really fun series. If I had to pick a winner, I might go with OKC just because Dallas is going to be missing Maxi Kleber going into this series. He has the dislocated shoulder, and you need that spacing around Luka and Kyrie. I think people are kind of underestimating the impact of that injury. But that would be a really good series, Dallas and Oklahoma, contrasting styles, but both playing awesome right now.
Yeah, I look at how injuries has really plagued, especially in the East. Like you said, no Jimmy Butler due to injury. Look at Okapatunko being out of whack with the Bucks. That changed everything for them in that series. So the East was kind of a little ruffled, but nonetheless, you definitely have Cleveland doing all that they can to stay relevant. But like you said, it's going to be tough to get the Celtics. And on the other end, the Timberwolves, I mean, to dismantle the Nuggets twice. Now they lead this series 2-0. I thought it was going to be a situation where they was going to have a defensive plan for Anthony Edwards, but this kid just keeps turning up. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Hey, man, how about our guy Nas Reed, LSU Tiger, winning Sixth Man of the Year? He has been such a big part of that team. And with Gobert, being on the fence whether or not he was playing yesterday, you knew he was going to be a big part of the game plan. But a lot of what he did during the regular season that won him Sixth Man of the Year, he's turned up. He's amplified in the playoffs. And he's kind of an underrated player right now. Minnesota's hot right now. They're going to maybe be in the conference finals. But it seems like Nas Reed, after a great season, is finally getting his just due. He definitely deserves a lot of props.
No doubt. If y'all are just tuning in, y'all listening to the homie Mario Jerez, y'all be sure to follow him at Mario_E_Jerez on Instagram. I said Instagram, I meant to say Twitter, which is now called X. Mario does the radio, the Espanol radio for the Saints, and he does the same for the Pels, and he has a Pel Kitchen pie, which isn't over. He's still going to keep you guys in tune with the draft and what directions the Pels may go, and just keep y'all going through the preseason as well. So, Mario, speaking of that, before I ask my Saints questions to you, I want to ask you about what directions the Pels is going to take in the draft. Are they going to draft their next potential starting point guard? How are they going to handle this?
So I've arrived two different conclusions with this. If they are going to keep the pick, they're definitely going either point guard or center, I think. And it's all to better complement Zion. It's to either get a better fit at the 5, although I thought Valanciunas maybe should have played a little bit more, or you get another creator to spread the floor along with Zion Williamson. Now, the other possibility is you trade that pick. There's been a lot of smoke around Brandon Ingram, but now that the dialogue's grown, there have been a lot of Pelicans fans that would prefer keeping Brandon Ingram. And that is a possibility, but if you're still trying to change up the roster, make a shakeup, you may see a situation where the Pelicans trade their first-round pick, maybe some of the other picks they have from Milwaukee or LA, and maybe package Herb Jones, a Trey Murphy, somebody who's valuable right now, a young player that's up and coming on a good contract. And then you add maybe another star piece, somebody else to put in a big 3 with Zion and with Brandon Ingram. So you have a lot of options, and that's why I think the Pelicans are actually in a pretty good place right now. I know people are frustrated with how the season ended, but at the end of the day, you still have your star player locked up in Zion. Yes, he didn't finish the season, but he made progress, at least played 70 games and put up really good numbers. And you have some young pieces on good contracts that you can choose to either continue to develop or you can trade them to get back a veteran, kind of like they did with Josh Hart and Nickeil Alexander-Walker to bring in C.J. McCollum. Now, that trade looked a lot better 2 years ago with Josh Hart and Nickeil both maybe getting to the conference finals with their new teams. But when you're a small market like the Pelicans, that's how you really build. You develop players, and then you trade them to get better players that are more suitable to win now, right? So you have a lot of options. You could either keep the pick, develop players, or try to accelerate that growth and trade those picks along with possibly another player to try to get back a really good return.
No doubt. And we want to take this time to thank our segment sponsors, one of Mario's favorite spots. Small Sliders, baby, 1635 Barataria Boulevard in Marrero. Still waiting to see when Mario going to come out there and get this complimentary slider.
The following program is recorded.
We'll definitely figure it out sooner or later, but we definitely want to thank Small Sliders for all that they do for the show. And y'all can check us out every Friday, 11:30 to 1:30 right here on ESPN New Orleans, Inside the Trenches. Mario, quick question. The Saints, man, they just brought in another free agent, Jacob Kibodi, and he played running back for Louisiana, was a good running back, and they brought him in on a free agent deal. Sometimes when we initially look at these situations, we're like, oh, man, they're bringing this kid in to be a camp body. But I watched some of his film again. He looks exceptional, man. What's your thoughts on the new signee?
Yeah, I think that's a position where, depth is really good. And the Saints have done good at that position before, right? With guys like that, Pierre Thomas and others come to mind. But I think building depth there is really good. We'll see what happens with Alvin Kamara going forward. They really need more out of Kendre Miller this season. We know that when he's healthy, he's a really explosive player, but that just has not come to fruition. So really, any position in need right now, including running back, is good for the Saints. But until they figure out that offensive line, they could have Jesus back there running between the holes, and it's not going to make a difference. So we'll see if they're able to replace Andres Pete, who's leaving. It looks like Ryan Ramczyk is going to retire based on his new contract and all the incentives. So I like young talent, especially at the running back position, but I don't think it's going to matter very much if they don't shore up that offensive line.
No doubt. And I am excited about the new Clint Kubiak system. I do think that system will allow us to create space and cutback lanes with the wide zone and the way that they run it. So to your point, yes, the line has to reflect that. Now, interesting point, we had Cam on last week, and he was talking about how Landon Young could be potentially fighting for a starting job on that left side. You have Cesar Ruiz in the middle at guard. You have Eric McCoy at center, opposite side. He was saying, like, it wouldn't be a bad idea to bump Trevor Penning on the inside and then bring your new rookie in on the right side, or move Penning on the other side and bring Cesar Ruiz next to the rookie. How you like that scenario? Something to grow off of?
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that is what they need to do. Like, they don't have very much flexibility, and I know it's not ideal. You're kind of admitting you swung and missed with Trevor Penning at that pick, at least as a tackle. But you're in a position where you need to do that. And if the pieces fill in, they do everything you described, and then Fuaga ends up panning out, you could be looking at a serviceable offensive line. And going back to the point you were just making with Kubiak and with these new running schemes, I think Alvin Kamara could be poised to have his best season in a long time. No doubt. Maybe since Drew Brees was here. I think the familiarity with Carr being here another year will help him a lot. I think a more creative play caller will help him a lot. It's just, can they mash enough? Can they move people off the ball enough to have at least a decent running game? If they're able to do that, I think the Saints are in great shape. But all of those shakeups on the offensive line, I think are going to be necessary just to be competent. And then you have to hope Fuaga pans out into the star.
No doubt. Well, man, he's Mario Jerez. Y'all make sure y'all check him out on X, Mario_E_Jerez. Mario, as always, thank you for coming on the show. We're going to get you back next week, baby. We're going to take a quick break. It's ESPN New Orleans, Inside the Trenches. Hello, somebody.